I felt like I had behaved in a way that was
provocative
and mature, like I really knew a lot.
We intend to name people in these lawsuits. We're not going to do it in interviews. We're not going to do it, without doing our due diligence.
We do love him, and I love them.
There are other people within Diddy's operation who we can point to as playing a major role.
Attorney Tony Busby has just called Demi Moore in to testify against Diddy after revealing her sex tape with A-list celebrities. The allegations against Moore are shocking, and the things she and her ex-husband Ashton Kutcher let Diddy do to their daughters will disgust you.
You got Ashton Kutcher in love with Mila Kunis on that 70s show. Then they break up for absolutely no reason after he starts hanging out with Diddy. Then he marries Demi Moore, who drained him of all the adrenochrome she can, and apparently he replenished himself by doing inappropriate things with their daughters. I'm glad. I'm sure you're glad.
One of Hollywood's biggest stars during the 90s, and even becoming the highest paid actor in the world for her role in Striptease back in 1996, Demi Moore has seen all the highs that Hollywood has to offer. Now, as her name is being brought up in connection to abuse of minors with Diddy, it appears Moore used her influence to coerce minors into sexual acts.
There are many people and many entities involved. And we're going to follow this evidence wherever it takes us. We will find the silent accomplices. We will expose the enablers who enabled this conduct behind closed doors. We will pursue this matter no matter who the evidence implicates. These brave victims who have stepped forward deserve nothing less. We now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file.
Demi Moore was allegedly involved in the sexual abuse of minors, along with Sean Diddy Combs, and provided Diddy with young girls who he could take advantage of. Demi Moore had allegedly gotten raped when she was just 15, after her mother sold her to a man for $500. For her to go on and abuse minors herself, and also provide minors to Hollywood elites, is completely disgusting behavior.
Now to Demi Moore, she revealed in her memoir that she was sexually assaulted at the age of 15, writing that her mother let the abuser in their home. Well, today Demi talked to Howard Stern more about this on his Sirius XM radio show.
But you say you pushed it away. You don't need, you just recently.
I pushed it away because I felt like it was my fault. I felt like I had behaved in a way that was
provocative
and mature, like I really knew a lot. And I never really looked at myself as being a kid. And so I never looked at it as rape. I mean, I saw it as an unfortunate and
Yet he forced you into it.
I was very embarrassed by it. In all honesty, I think that the shame I carried because of the rape made me afraid to feel I could comfortably express myself sexually.
Hollywood is a disgusting place where children are not safe even from their own parents. And as we can see with both Usher and Demi Moore, these children who are abused often become abusers or enablers themselves later on. Usher, who was allegedly raped as a 13-year-old by Diddy, eventually became the person who let Diddy abuse Justin Bieber, and Demi Moore, who was abused by her mother, allegedly let her own daughters be raped when she became a mother.
As an anxious teen, she is taken by her mother to bars so that men will notice them. She's 15 when she comes home one night and an older man they know is in the apartment with the key. She writes, it was rape and a devastating betrayal. Revealed by the man's cruel question, how does it feel to be whored by your mother for $500?
Do you believe she sold you?
I think in my deep heart, no. I don't think it was a straightforward transaction, but she still did give him the access and put me in harm's way.
There is even footage of Demi Moore making out with 14-year-old minors while appearing to be under the influence of drugs. A resurfaced video has drawn attention to Demi Moore kissing her former General Hospital co-star, Philip Tanzini, when he was just 14 years old.
Okay, one more time.
Why do you think everybody's come out?
I don't know. Maybe just because I love them all and I hope they all love me.
We do love him.
And I love them.
You think it's for the publicity, you're out of your mind.
Absolutely, because he's one of my most favorite people.
Have you been working on the show?
Almost a month and a half.
What's your role?
I'm Luke's new love.
And I'm Philip Tanzini and I play Jeremy and you're stealing my part. I'm
We're moving on to interview number 2 here.
Oh, okay.
Because I love Philip and he's the only one I love.
Do your interview already.
All right. I'm Luke's new love, but personally, I love Philip. And that's it, okay?
We got a new storyline cooking up pretty soon. Here, have a bite.
I want to say happy birthday to Philip because I love him dearly. He's one of my most favorite people.
How long have you been out there?
For about 3 weeks. And he's been terrific.
Demi Moore is just one of the A-list celebrities that is going to be exposed once all the freak-off videos that the feds collected from Diddy's mansion get exposed. Courtney Burgess, a close friend of Diddy's ex-wife, Kim Porter, has already handed over 8 new tapes to the FBI after he was called to testify in front of a grand jury.
And those statements include descriptions of what the witness says he saw on those tapes. So I asked him about that, and he answered what he could, given the limitations imposed on him after testifying before the grand jury. Out of those 8 videos, 8 celebrities, 6 men and 2 women, how many of those 8 celebrities were close to being underage or potentially underage?
2 males.
2 males. And of those 8 celebrities, how many of them were intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
This is going to be all speculation. I just want to preface it by he wouldn't know if they were. Right.
Sure.
Appear to
Let
be.
me rephrase it.
Based on, yes.
Understand. Out of the 8 celebrities who were recorded having intimate relations with Sean Combs, how many of them appeared to be either inebriated or intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
All of them. All of them.
Out of those 8, how many appeared to be potentially victimized? How many might have been victimizing?
I think all, to be honest, all.
Were victims
They
or
victims.
were perpetrating?
Victims.
They were all 8 were victimized,
Yeah,
meaning
victim.
this was happening to them and they were inebriated.
Right. Not knowing, I guess, how much proof it was in it, what they was doing.
Every celebrity, politician, athlete, CEO, and producer who was involved with Diddy and complicit in the abuse he carried out is about to be exposed, and the shockwaves from these arrests are going to change Hollywood. There is a culture of sexual misconduct in Hollywood, and it's been going on for decades. Even veteran Hollywood actors like Tom Hanks have spoken out about how people like Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein are rampant in Hollywood.
The idea that there are sexual predators in power, not just in Hollywood, I think all across any place there's a boss with underlings in any corporation or any industry, you have a type of sexual politics that goes on that can slide in between appropriate ethics and decorum to, inappropriate behavior to the point of harassment and sexual predatory behavior.
Well, I mean, I think people understand that, but the larger question is there a culture of complicity in Hollywood where women are afraid to speak up because they'll be blacklisted. Men are afraid to speak up because either they're out of the same fear or they just think, well, this is the way the system works.
I think there are people that say, hey, this is how it works, pure and simple. And this is why I got into it, and this is why I have power. This is how it works, and you have to understand that. That does not carry the day. Complicity is also complicity. The people who know, well, look, this is how we do business, and that's what it's got to be done. I'm sorry it's like that. So beware. That's also present, without a doubt, but it does not carry the day. There's also people that were afraid to speak out, who were victims, that did not go forward, that signed, negotiated settlement deals of which a non-disclosure agreement was part and parcel to it. That also does not carry the day.
With 36 civil lawsuits now on the way, and Tony Busby detailing all the abuse that went down in Hollywood due to Diddy and his co-conspirators, it looks like pedophiles might finally be going to jail now. It is important to remember that the allegations against Diddy involve minors as young as 7 years old, and much like Demi Moore, these minors were often provided to Diddy by their parents. These people knew what was going to happen to their kids, but they were apparently so greedy that they decided it was okay.
We intend to name people in these lawsuits. We're not going to do it in interviews. We're not going to do it, without doing our due diligence, because obviously, these types of allegations are very hurtful to people if they're not true, and very hurtful, frankly, if they are true. But if they're true, you shouldn't have been in the room and you shouldn't have been participating. So I anticipate that we're going to start filing lawsuits, and it may not be big names at first, but we have a long list of names, and you might imagine in situations like this, that when a victim tells us that this person was in the room or this person participated, we want to do as much due diligence as humanly possible before we file that case. Because in the United States, in almost every state, public filings are in fact public. And when you name somebody in a lawsuit, the press is going to pick it up, and we're aware of that. So we're going to make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's. And I expect that there will be some people named in these lawsuits that will raise some eyebrows.
Another instance, another minor, told allegedly by Sean Combs that he would make him a star, but he needed to visit with him in private about it, away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform oral sex upon him. Another incident, an individual 15 years old at the time, flown to New York City to attend a party, was drugged, and then taken into a private room, allegedly in the presence of Mr. Combs, where this female individual, minor, was raped, and then other individuals took turns raping her. Another individual, 26 at the time of the occurrence, was picked up allegedly by Mr. Combs and several other people in a black SUV from the airport, was given one drink in the SUV, and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her vagina and her anus, where she then went to the hospital. She was missing her underwear and her shoes. Another instance, an individual, this time not a minor, attended a group dinner, allegedly with Sean Combs in Miami. She wasn't drinking because she was pregnant, but whatever she drank at the table, apparently, at least according to her, was laced with something. She blacked out, and she woke up in the same bed, again, allegedly, with Mr. Combs in his mansion in Miami. Her vagina and her anus were torn and sore.
Parents like Demi Moore and adults like Usher, who let Diddy abuse the minors they were supposed to take care of, are all about to be exposed. These people are just as responsible as Diddy, and without them, Diddy would never have been able to abuse all the people he abused. The silence Diddy bought and the leverage he had on minors was all because of these people. They helped maintain the culture of abuse and pedophilic behavior that is now rampant in Hollywood. Demi Moore and Usher used their credibility to source minors and hand them over to Diddy.
Diddy had been trying to get to Bieber for a minute, and his management was backing him off. But it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours. Think about that. He had already been to the hospital. That situation that Gene was talking about. And you still took Bieber there, but you got custody of him first. Diddy had already tried. They wouldn't let him. Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the diddler. Does that sound like a good guy?
It's horrible.
Does that sound like a good guy? Now that we know what Diddy's really like. They're not seeing what the intentions was in his heart when he took Justin Bieber there.
Oh.
Let's be honest. He took Justin Bieber there.
Arrest warrants are coming for everyone that was involved with Diddy, and everyone knows it. Allegedly, this is why a lot of Hollywood celebrities and actors are now trying to move abroad. Ellen DeGeneres has already moved to the UK, and with Ashton Kutcher also getting ready to testify, even more of these celebrities are worried. With reports of tapes, testimonies, and legal battles looming, it's clear that this case could expose a dark web of power, privilege, and abuse that spans decades.
There are a lot of people in Hollywood who are probably worried about which Diddy parties they were at and what was going on. That's not to say that they were necessarily even involved in any of the things that are alleged by the U.S. Attorney's Office. But if you're at that party and it turns out that that's when he set up one of these freak-off sex parties, or that it was going on in another room and you didn't know about it, there's a good chance that you're going to be called by the U.S. Attorney's Office. And certainly if you were involved, you would get a call because they're going to want to know everything you want to know and may even want you to be a witness. I just think, we're just starting to scratch the surface of what this case, this case is going to touch and involve. And the feds have said that this remains an open investigation. There could be more charges for Diddy. There could be more charges for other people involved. And usually the way this works is once they find out other people are involved or were witnesses, they bring them in and they sort of lean on them. And it's sort of like, you're going to cooperate with us, or there's a possibility that you could face charges. So this is going to be a slow developing a case here because we're just getting started. And I don't see how this trial begins anytime before next year.
Due to the nature of the charges against Diddy, there's a good chance that the federal trial against him won't be televised. The civil cases, on the other hand, are going to expose everyone that was involved. The only way that these abusers can get out of this is if they settle out of court with the victims. But with over 200 verified victims on their way, there's a good chance that a lot of big-name celebrities are going to get their careers destroyed.
Bring in these people. A lot of these people were also aspiring young artists in the music industry. And then these parties were sponsored by Motown Records CEO, Universal Records CEO. This goes all the way to the top. And so you get these people in compromising situations. The drinks were laced. The videotapes were hot. And then at the end of the day, you wake up the next morning, what did I do? And then they have compromising material on you. And then they can guide your career. They could kill your career, but they got you. And it wasn't just people in the music business. As you said, there were athletes, there were celebrities, there were politicians, people from the royal family. And we were also told by the former bodyguard that Diddy was an FBI informant. Whoa. So he was a snitch and was feeding information to the feds. And we don't know what that means. We haven't been able to confirm it, but even Little Rod said it's not just like Epstein. It could be worse than Jeffrey Epstein.
The people around Diddy know what is coming for them, and that's why they're quiet at the moment. No one wants to draw unnecessary attention towards themselves in a case that could end their careers. The only way to get these people to talk is to issue subpoenas and threaten legal action. This is what got Ashton Kutcher, someone who's friends with a convicted rapist, to come and testify against Diddy. Interestingly, Ashton Kutcher, Demi Moore's ex-husband, is involved in some pretty shady business himself, and there's a big chance that he's going to go to jail once Diddy goes to trial.
How many friends he have and nobody came out?
They brand. It's all about the money. They saw what he did to Cassie. With the kicking, the punching. They saw what they did to Cassie. They know that nobody in America liked that. So now, these people are represented by a brand. Whether it's something about the music, clothing, movies. They're not gonna come out and speak on nothing that has anything to do with them. And they praying that they not on the tape doing crazy stuff, being oiled up in the whole 9 yards. They praying. So until the feds say, hey, yo, listen here. We got you on, hey buddy, we got you on this tape, and girl looked like she was pretty young. We're not gonna show it, but we need you to come and testify against Brother Love, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, you know, Sean Combs. That's when they're gonna start talking. And they're not gonna be talking in his favor. When the feds come to them and show them what they got on tape, because if he had 250 tapes all over, 250 cameras all over the house, somebody got caught stealing a cookie out the cookie jar. It could be your favorite pastor. It could be your favorite politician. But they didn't think they was being watched. And Brother Love was watching.
Yeah, I mean, TD Jakes, he haven't even came out and said anything. And him and Diddy was real cool.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, man. And I know the people in the congregation over there is shaking in their boots because this man didn't let them probably, allegedly probably led them to damnation, because those people's hearts are gonna be broken if that man is seen on those tapes doing anything. Because people always put their faith in the pastor instead of putting their faith in God. And what they need to do is understand that he's just a man. And he has a history. It's not looking too good for him.
So you feel like celebs are worried that they might be on tape?
Oh, they know. That's why they ain't speaking up or saying nothing. Yeah, I was at a Diddy party, but I know I ain't do nothing. When you don't know somebody's taping you, when you don't know that somebody is videoing you in some kind of form or fashion, you got that alcohol, you got the drugs in you, they're a little loose, bruh. They let down all their inhibitions. The music is pumping. He said it himself. He got it so hot in there that you gotta take your clothes off. He said that himself, bruh.
Ashton used to be part of Diddy's Rat Pack, and he knows that Diddy recorded everything that went on at his parties. He knows that the tapes already incriminate both him and Demi Moore, so he's prepared to testify and cooperate in whatever way he can in exchange for immunity. From his direct involvement with convicted rapist Danny Masterson and Diddy, to his disturbing comments about wanting to harass Mila Kunis when she was just 14, a closer look at Ashton Kutcher reveals that he's not who fans thought he was.
I just heard about that. But you heard about the reports that Ashton Kutcher, he's worried that Diddy might lie on his friends? You heard about that?
But that's what I've been saying. I said, if the federal government wanted somebody more than they want Diddy, if he has some information about some people that they would rather have other than him, he's able to get that information to them. But they gotta want it. They gotta want it. And Ashton Kutcher and him they were real tight. One time, me, him, Ashton Kutcher went to a Nets game and we met Jay-Z there. You know what I'm saying? So they were close, they was cool.
But you think Diddy would do something like that? Allow other celebrities?
Well, why would it have to be a lie? Because if he get caught in, he gonna be as truthful as possible. You understand? He's gonna give them enough information, whereas that it's gonna make him look like the choir boy. So, Ashton Kutcher, he has a right to be kind of alarmed if he was doing things with Diddy. Remember they used to have that group called the what do they call it? The Brat Pack? With Diddy, him, and a couple other guys was hanging out. Leonardo, one other guy too. I forgot the other guy's name. So, they all might be worried.
For him to come out with that comment, I mean, that is suspect. It sounds like he's worried that Diddy might give up some information.
That's why. That's why he made that statement. To set it up. To set up the atmosphere that, yo, this guy's gonna lie on us. This guy ain't gonna tell the truth on us. But what we know is that wherever Diddy went, his tape recorders went. His camera equipment was working. He was videotaping everything. So they might have that videotape already.
Not even family is sacred to Diddy and the people around him. While some parents went as far as providing their children to Diddy in exchange for stardom, Diddy himself was allegedly interested in his own family members as well. Tora, a journalist and author, recently shared troubling allegations regarding Sean Diddy Combs. In a social media post, Tora recounted how Diddy allegedly made an inappropriate proposition to one of his family members that was working as an intern and asked him to sleep with him.
The arrest on sexual abuse and racketeering charges of Sean Combs, known alternately as Puffy or Diddy, sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world and is sparking vigorous debates online about who knew what, when, and for how long, and who else might have been involved. Combs insists he's innocent, but a judge rejected his lawyer's bail proposal because he had concerns that Combs might try to tamper with witnesses. Combs' downfall was years in the making and involved the abuse of Cassie Ventura, his former girlfriend, and others. According to friend of the show, Teray, who has new reporting on what led to the downfall of Diddy, Combs' descent into darkness was due in part to, quote, drug abuse. It's central to why he's now facing a mountain of serious charges. When Diddy and Cassie were together, he dragged Cassie down into addiction. After she left him, someone said, she went to rehab to get control of her life, which led to a process of healing, not just from the drugs, but from the abuse. From there, she found the courage to speak up. Joining me now is Teray, who, as I mentioned, has been reporting about Diddy on his Substack, Culture Fries, and on his Teray Show podcast. Teray, my friend, talk about more that you learned about what led to Diddy's downfall.
Well, you know, Cassie was recording an album for about 10 years. She made a ton of songs, she made collabs, she had producers. She thought she was actually working on an album. That was ultimately a giant pacifier to keep her happy while Diddy was actually using her for other things, right? For the freak-offs that we're talking about. The album never had a release date. It was never really going to come out. He was just using her for that purpose. So that's part of where you get into racketeering, that there's all these people that he's using in a business context to have her at his beck and call in this other nighttime context. And it's really disgusting, and he really robs her of her spirit and her time that she could have used to become a great artist. And when Kim Porter passes away, and this is from a story that I'm working on for the Substack, it'll come out later this week. When Kim Porter passes, Diddy is so distracted and devastated that Cassie's able to get away from him. She gets pregnant and she gets married, and then she's in a supportive environment. Her parents are around her, her husband, she has friends around her. She goes to rehab, and there she finds her voice to be able to speak up for the person she used to be, right? When she was under his control, because she's not that person anymore. And when she gets to that place in her life, she starts to speak up, because there's so many people who wanted to speak out against him and were afraid. And when she finds the courage to speak up about her truth, then others are able to come forward, and then it all falls apart for him.
You know, racketeering implies that there are more than one person involved, though. Is there, and that is the question a lot of people are asking, is who else is involved in this?
There are other people within Diddy's operation who we can point to as playing a major role as far as security, as far as procuring things, as far as getting people into his orbit. I would imagine that many of those people are currently talking to federal law enforcement, trying to save themselves from going to prison. Others are sitting there nervous. Not everyone is talking, but surely some of them are. So, I mean, there's a lot of people lining up to tell the story, but I think a lot of the evidence is going to come from what Sean himself videotapes.
The allegations against Diddy, Demi Moore, and others paint a disturbing picture of Hollywood's dark underbelly, a place where power, privilege, and silence have protected abusers for decades. As the legal battles unfold, the walls are closing in on a web of complicity that allowed these horrors to persist. The truth is coming to light, and with it, the hope that justice will finally be served for the countless victims.